All right, welcome to the update. You know what 2:30 in the afternoon feels like, right? Like 9:30 this morning. So here we go. Got 200 things on my list because I spent a week at the beach, and it was fantastic. Now I'm excited to be back. I've been for a run, and it's going to be 102 today, so I'm feeling it. I'm sweating a little bit, so life is good. Update of the blog is one of the things on my list. So I'm going to start with that this morning. Okay, so I've got my committee together. I've got Pam as my chair, Mary Catherine O'Connor. I have Rose Corona from psychology, who I'm really excited about. I had a meeting with her last week, and we talked quite a bit about her area is culture and adolescence and risk and protective factors, and I think it's going to mesh really nicely with what I'm interested with my population. She has done more research on culture, African American cultures and Latino cultures, but I think it's going to be a great access to some of the literature in psychology. So I'm excited about that. I'm also working with Peter Wynn here at VCU, and he's got a lot of the recent cultural expertise, access to that literature as well. So I'm really looking forward to working with this committee. I actually got an email from him. I have to respond to it. Didn't realize that I missed it when I was at the beach, which I probably missed a lot. I had my students turn in a 10-page paper, a midterm paper, and so I've got 21 of those to go through and grade, and quizzes and presentations, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy next couple of weeks, but I'm very excited. I'm also working with a couple of in-home cases and looking at volunteering, continuing to volunteer with some more students or some more kids through the unaccompanied refugee minor program through Catholic Charities. And last Saturday I did a training on attachment for some foster parents in that program. So I'm continuing to work on that relationship, which is my access point to people who have had, social workers who have had experience, foster parents with pretty substantial experience, and then adults now who have aged out of the unaccompanied refugee minor program through Catholic Charities. So they're my access point. I'm trying to keep in close touch and keep that working relationship. I'm really excited about working with them as well, and it gives me a lot of insight into the type of research that needs to be done in this area. So working on that. I don't know if I have a lot of substantive update. I'm really interested in attachment issues in different cultures, and I don't know how it works. And I think maybe part of my research is going to focus a little bit on how acculturation and attachment work together. And I suspect that attachment issues that develop, as refugees experience massive amounts of trauma in their childhood, I expect that culture keeping strategies will mitigate some of those attachment issues. It could be just the reverse, that they develop attachment strategies within their culture that mitigate some of the risk of shifting, cultures and moving from a very group or community-oriented culture to an individualistic-oriented culture as they come into the United States and into foster families rather than a collective. Even a refugee camp can be viewed maybe as a collective in terms of culture. And so there's this interplay, and that's really kind of where I'm zooming in. What that means is that attachment theory has really been approached from a very positivistic source. It stems from kind of Bowlby got a lot of inspiration from Freudian thought and moved a lot from Darwin and a really evolutionary perspective, and that really lends itself to a really functionalist or positivist paradigm. And some of the cultural literature is there. Some of it, from what I understand, I have a lot more reading to do in that literature, which I hope Rose Corona will help me delve into a little bit. But I think a lot of that is coming from, a mix of real functionalist perspective and a very positivist way to study that approach. And then some of it will be a lot more interpretivist. And so I'm trying to land somewhere in here. By necessity, really practically, and where the literature is, I'm really drawn to a qualitative approach. And so I'm not sure if I'm approaching it from a more interpretivist or a more functionalist paradigm. But I expect my committee will kind of help direct my thinking as I go. At any rate, I'm very excited about where I'm at and where I'm headed, and about 200 things are pulling my attention different directions, but as I wrap class up here in a few weeks, yeah, really just 3 weeks now, the middle of July, we'll wrap up class. I think my cases that I'm doing in-home with will slow down a little bit. I hope to volunteer a little bit more with some refugee teenagers, and then get writing. My timeline puts me at about beginning of October now, because of when my committee can get together as far as defending the proposal. So the next, from about mid-July on, we'll really shift into proposal writing mode, and synthesizing a lot of this literature that I'm coming across. So exciting things, at least from my point of view, are going on, and not so intimidated about all the questions I have, because I think it really is kind of coming down to attachment theories, and then acculturation and culture keeping theories, and really trying to incorporate what we know out from other literatures out there, and really seeing where unaccompanied refugee minors fall in this mix. And eventually, I see this as kind of a pilot study, and eventually I'd really like to do a lot more intensive research on a larger scale, looking at attachment approaches of foster parents, and attachment styles, and internal working models of refugees that are coming over, and how we can better mesh those two so that we can have more successful placements here. And then how can we really support, ultimately, the way that we approach refugees on a global scale, and making that the way that we approach them the most effective, the most efficient possible, with what we understand about attachment and culture. So there we go. I hope the next installment of this will bring even more clarity. So until then, rate this video and subscribe, and etc. Thanks.